Hi, my name is Susna Atira. I will stop and explain for question number 1 and 3. Okay, first I will explain question number 1. This question is about OKB development berhad has to decide which of the following 4 projects should be selected. There are 4 projects from Sophia, Aurora, Amber, and Mulan with different initial investment and IRR. First, determine the breaking points. The existing capital structure is debt 350,000, preferred shares 200,000, common equity 450,000. The total is 1 million. So to find the breaking points, the first step is cost. The cost for debt, first 200,000 KBAT 7.5%, more than 200,000 KBAT 9.75%. The preferred shares, first 300,000 KP 8%, more than 300,000 KP 10%. For common equity, D1 is 3.78, flotation cost 3.84, and the KCS is 21.42%. Step 2, arrange the cost. Step 3, weight. Weight are given. Weight debt 0.35, weight preferred shares 0.20, weight common equity 0.45. There are only 2 breaking points, which is debt 200,000 divide 0.35 equals 571,429, and preferred shares 300,000 divide 0.2 equals 1.5 million. Second question, determine the weighted average cost of capital WACC for all the identified range of financing. There are 3 range of financing. First range 0 until 571,429, second range 571,430 until 1.5 million, and the third range is more than 1.5 million. The WACC for first range is 13.864. The second range, the WACC is 14.652, and the WACC for third range is 15.052. Third question, construct the weighted marginal cost of capital WMCC curve. First, arrange the IRR. For project Aurora 15%, Sophia 13%, Mulan 12%, and Amber 10%. Step 8, plotting the graph. First, we need to plot the IRR and accumulated cost of Aurora, Sophia, Mulan, and Amber. Next is plotting the WACC line. Last question is which project should be company choose and why. The answer is the company should choose Aurora because IRR more than WACC.
Hi, my name is Shamiralia. I will solve and explain for question number 2 and 4. Okay, first, I will explain question number 2. Are given the following data for Greenfields Company, which the fixed cost is 50,000 ringgit, sales in unit is 20,000 unit, selling price is 10 ringgit, and their EBIT is 70,000 ringgit. In this question, we need to calculate the variable cost per unit, the break-even points in units and ringgits, and the degree of operating leverage, which is equal DOL at sale level of 20,000 units. We need to calculate the variable cost per unit, which is EBIT equals total sales minus total cost, or we can use EBIT equals left parenthesis SP minus VC, right parenthesis Q minus FC. After write the formula, we need to put a value on each of the formula, which is EBIT is 70,000 and the SP or selling price is 10 ringgit, and Q is 20,000 minus FC, which is 50,000. And we calculate it, we got VC, which is equals 6. For second one is to calculate the break-even point in units and ringgit. For formula is which is BEP in units equals FC divides with SP minus VC. So we need to put a value which is FC 50,000 and SP is 10 and VC is 6. And we calculate it with 50,000 divided with 10 minus 6, which is we get in BEP in units is 12,500 units. For BEP in RM, which is equals BEP in the brackets in units times selling price. We put in value which is 12,500 times 10, which is we get in RM is 125,000 ringgit. Lastly is to calculate the degree of operating leverage or DOL at sales of 20,000 units. For the formula is DOL equals bracket SP minus VC times Q close bracket divide bracket SP minus VC close brackets Q minus FC close brackets. Then we put in the value which is SP is 10, VC is 6, Q is 20,000 because it is in a unit. And we put the same value on SP, VC and Q, and value for FC is 50,000. So we calculate it in 10 minus 6 times 20,000 divide with 10 minus 6 times with 20,000 minus 50,000, and we get it which is DOL 80,000 divide with 70,000, and the final answer is 1.143.
The third question is about Mega Cuta Berhad needs to expand its business and requires additional fund of 1 million. The company has two plans to raise funds. Plan 1, 50% common stock at RM50 per share and balance 50% with 10% preferred stock at RM100 par value. And the second plan, 60% with 6% coupon bond and 40% with 10% preferred stock at RM100 par value. The corporate tax rate is 30%. The question is calculate the point of indifference between the two alternatives in EBIT. Step 1. Construct table of EBIT. Existing market value, debt 160,000, CS 172,000, interest 16,000, DPS 0, number of CS 43,000. Plan 1 market value CS 500,000 and PS 500,000. Interest 0, DPS 50,000, number of CS 10,000. Plan 2 market value, bond 600,000, PS 400,000, interest 36,000, DPS 40,000, number of CS 0. The total of plan 1 interest 16,000, DPS 50,000, number of CS 53,000. Plan 2 interest 52,000, DPS 40,000 and number of CS 43,000. Step 2. Calculation of EBIT. The formula is EPS1 equals EPS2. EBIT minus interest 1 minus tax minus dividend PS divide number of CS. Put all the information in the formula and the answer for EBIT is 202,514.29. Next, calculation of EPS. The formula to find EPS same with EBIT. Put all the information in the formula and the answer is RM1.52. So, at EBIT RM202,514.29, EPS is RM1.52. Next question. If EBIT for next year estimated at 20 million, with alternative should the company adopt and why? If the EBIT 20 million, put all the information in the formula and you will get EPS 1 262.99, EPS 2 323.80. The company should adopt alternative plan 2 because it has higher earning per share.
For question 4, it gives the following the balance sheet of both companies, which is Smith's company and Malta company, before the merger takes place. In this question, we need to calculate the post-merger earnings per share for the acquiring company, prepare a post-merger balance sheet under the purchase method, which show all calculation, and lastly, justify your answer with EPS with any dilution in for the acquiring company or not. So, first thing we need to do is to do a calculation of post-merger earnings per share for the acquired company, in which a formula for this question is post-merger EPS equals EACS for AC plus EACS for TC divides with number of CS for AC plus number of additional CS. Step 1. We need to do the calculation of EACS for acquiring companies and target companies, which the formula is taken like this: EACS equals EPS times of number of CS or number of common stock, and then put a value and make a calculation like this: EACS for AC equals 6 times 600,000 equals 3,600,000 ringgit, and EACS for TC is 2 times 80,000 equals 160,000 ringgit. Step 2. We need to do the calculation of number of additional common stock CS, which is the formula is taken like this: number of additional common stock equals ER or exchange rate times number of CS for TC, and put a value and make a calculation like this: 10 divides 20 times 80,000 equals 0.5 times 80,000 equals 40,000. Last step is to put a value of EACS for AC and TC and also number of additional CS in the formula of post-merger EPS, and it goes like this: post-merger EPS equals open brackets 3,600,000 plus 160,000 close brackets divides with open brackets 80,000 plus 40,000 close brackets equals 31 ringgit 30 cents. Second, we need to do a post-merger balance sheet just like I showed you just now. And we need to do the calculation of purchase price, goodwill, post-merger CS, and lastly post-merger SP. Step 1. For calculation of purchase price equals ER times number of CS for TC times market price per share of AC equals like this: 0.5 times 80,000 times 20 equals 800,000. For the goodwill equals purchase price minus total asset of TC minus total liabilities of TC equals 800,000 minus open bracket 150,000 minus 30,000 close brackets equals 680,000 ringgit. Step 2. Post-merger CS equals like this. In formula is pre-merger CS for AC plus ER times number of CS for TC times PV for AC, or we call it PV as par value, equals, in a value is 600,000 plus 0.5 times 40,000 and times 3 equals 600,000 plus 60,000 equals 660,000 ringgit. Step 3 or last step is to do the post-merger SP, which is formula like this: pre-merger SP for AC plus purchase price minus ER times number of CS for TC times PV for AC equals 100,000 plus 800,000 minus 0.5 times 40,000 times 3 equals 100,000 plus 800,000 minus 60,000 equals to 840,000 ringgit. And lastly, we need to tell if EPS is in dilution or accretion. For my answer, EPS is in accretion because the post-merger EPS is higher than before the merger, which is EPS of Smides before merger is 6 ringgit, and after the merger it increased to 31 ringgit 30 cents.